Welcome to Module 2 of Everyday PBL's Project Learning Plan, Overview, Guide, Walkthrough, Tutorial, whatever you want to call it. In Module 2, we're going to focus on kind of the end product and the overarching, just kind of the end product and the overall production, we'll call it. And I'm going to highlight a couple things here. When you're doing project-based learning and you're getting into those need-to-knows and you're finding that the need-to-knows that are generated by your students aren't as deep and as broad as you want them to be, well, this is where your problem most likely is occurring. This is where the disconnect is occurring. It's occurring here in this section where you're going through and either launching the product or providing them with the materials to launch the product. So let's go ahead and we'll zoom in here and we'll get started. If you are joining us late, Module 1 dealt with the skills and the supporting standards. Module 2 here, we're going to be dealing page 2, and we're going to really go through kind of what the nitty-gritty is. All right, production notes. The project pathway is also called the essential question. And this is the question that pushes the research through the course of the unit. Think of how can we as do kind of model. So what are your students going to be, or what are they acting as during this time? And then what are they going to do? So for me, again, reminding you, we're talking about perfect paragraphs. Our students are going to be creating this perfect paragraph public service announcement. And so for me, the project pathway, the essential question that pushes their research is, how can we as the campus leaders model literacy for our campus so that all students and teachers on our campus see the benefit of writing and reading? And so what are my students? My students are going to be campus leaders. My students are going to be the experts on writing and reading. And what are they going to do? They are going to model literacy so that everyone on campus can see the benefit of it. And so the project pathway, or that essential question, the easy way to do it, and I'm going to say this, the training wheels way, the easy way to do it is, how can we as do, and there you go. So if you're doing a project where you're studying ecosystems and you're going to have your science students out in the field looking at live ecosystems, well, what are they? Are they students anymore, or are they scientists? How can we as biologists, environmental biologists, preserve ecosystems in our own neighborhood? How can we as entrepreneurs craft a business plan that will get us on Shark Tank, whatever. So when you're looking at your project, your project pathway here, it's the essential question. It's what drives your research through the entire unit. If you're not mentioning your essential question like, at least every other day, I'm not going to say you're not doing it right, because there's no one right way to do it, but you're missing an opportunity to enhance your students' understanding. All right, so the gateway to learning over here now, the hook. How will you start your project, generate curiosity, develop need-to-knows? All right, for me, I start this unit with a really bad essay. Like really, like cringeworthy bad essay. Or I'll pull out an application or a resume, and there's plenty of stuff on the internet you can find for this. So for me, that's the first thing I do, is I pull out this horribly wretched essay or this horribly wretched job application or resume or whatever, and we look at it, and then I call them snap judgments. I say, tell me about this applicant, and tell me about this student. Tell me about this person who's trying to get a job here. And we talk about whether or not students would hire them or not based on their writing. It generates a lot of engagement Because, I mean, our students, by and large, are judgmental, and they do the same thing we do. And it's funny because you can see, like, and, you know, I do lie a little bit and say that they're real applications, and I don't know if they're real. I find them on the internet. But for us, it's a good groundbreaker into the importance of why writing's important and why because nobody wakes up saying, I want to be that guy, man. I wish I could be a meme and a joke. All right, let's pop down here to the title. You want to develop catchy titles. And it's kind of a misnomer because honestly, they're probably never going to call them by their titles, but it's kind of for your benefit and for your sanity. You want to have that kind of, you want to have a catchy title because you're going to publish these. PBL is meant to be public. You're going to want to share these. And so you want to have a catchy title, just like you want to have a catchy title of the book. So for me, this is the Perfect Paragraph PSA. And that's the title of it. Even though they're going to be doing more with that than just doing the PSA, this is what I want. All right, so let's come over here and let's talk about the standards audit. This is just a way for you to check yourself. Now that you've kind of labeled your assessments, it's just a time for you to go back and look and say, all right, I'm going to label my assessments here. So I have the perfect paragraph, which they're going to be using in their college essay. They have this presentation, and then they have the model PSA. And so the poster or whatever, product. And so when I look at this, content standards, are they doing what they need to do? When I go back up and look at my standards here, and I've shortened them and truncated them back down to the other way, when I look at them, all right, so expository writing process, got it. The presentation, they're going to be doing persuasive writing and expository reading. Yep, they'll be doing that. So I can take this check mark, control, copy, paste, and then the PSA model, they're going to be doing persuasive writing as well as listening skills, which was one I didn't mention yesterday, but so we're good. I mean, my standards, the standards that I have up here are being assessed through these products, so I'm good there. Now, moving down, this next component I get a lot of flack for. There are a lot of people that don't understand why a literacy component, a writing component, has to be a part of every project. And the simple and dirty answer is, and I've said this on my podcast, so if you want, you can find the episode. Literacy is not just your English teacher's job. Literacy is the entire school's job because it's too big of a problem in our schools for just one class to take on. And so it's imperative that every single teacher on campus is a literacy teacher. Everybody should be doing some kind of literacy in their projects, it just makes for better students. So you have a checkbox here. You have a checkbox here. What kind of literacy, what type of writing are you going to have them do? And I put up there, remember, reflection, it can be narrative or expository. You can have them reflect on how they went about solving a math problem and explain it. That's expository writing. You can have them talk about why they feel the way they feel, and that could be narrative or expository. And so for me, I have a narrative component here. I have an expository component. So I'm going to check that box. And I have a persuasive component because we're trying to persuade students that writing is important. All right. So how do we write a perfect paragraph? That is going to be our expository. And why is it important to utilize good writing when working in both school and business settings? That'll be the persuasive. Now, coming over here, This is another kind of checklist. All right, so at this point in the process, what do I have and what do I need in terms of resources? All right, the college prompts haven't changed in 2 years, so the 3 college Applied Texas essays are there. The Schoolhouse Rocks video are how I learned to do grammar, and they haven't changed since the 70s, so we'll be watching some of those, I think. I have sentence strips where I can do model sentences with DOL. Now, what do I need? I need an example of a public service announcement because a lot of our kids don't have experience creating PSAs. And so I'm going to need to either make some myself or find some for those PSAs. I need to cull and I need to pull together some exemplar texts. They're out there. We have CDs full of EOC responses I can pull. I can pull their own responses if I take the time. But I need to do that. And then I'm a huge believer in modeling the writing process. So I will be up there in front of my kids modeling. If we're going to work on a paragraph today, I'll ask a question but I don't have those models done yet because I haven't picked the prompts yet. So I need to think about those models and which prompts that we're going to practice with before we get to this college essay that they're going to write. So this is the resource checklist. And so you go through, what do you have? What do you need? If you're going to bring a speaker in, have you met with them? Do they know that they're doing this? Do you need to find a speaker? Technology is a big thing. What technology do you have available to you? Do you have computers on wheels? Do you have laptops in your classroom? Do you have iPads? Do you have the right apps that you need? Or do you need them? Do you have the right books? Because you also, you'll pull through books and you'll pull through literature. Do you need copies of books? We actually changed an entire unit because we didn't have the right material. We didn't have we used the No Fear Shakespeare, and I didn't have Hamlet like I wanted to do, and so we switched it up and they did Macbeth. And I was able to get much of the same things I wanted to get out of the unit. It was a little bit different, but it's because of this kind of the resources that we switched it up. So it's a good idea to think about that. Now, do the assessment reflect the skills? This is kind of the same question we asked yesterday. And if they are presenting a public service announcement on what good writing is that a true reflection on whether or not they know what good writing is? And I would argue yes. Are there alternate methods of assessment for your diverse group of learners? Well, when I say a PSA can mean many things. You have that shy person that doesn't want to speak in front of a big group. You know what? Make a YouTube video. Make one of those animated shorts that you can do nowadays that are relatively easy and inexpensive and you can do pretty much for free. I don't think I'm giving them one specific way. Now, is there an easier way? Probably. The easiest way is probably to make a poster that we can hang up in the school and be ready to speak to kids, to the 9th and 10th graders. That's probably the easiest way to do this. But for the kids that don't want to be up in front and don't want to make a poster, I'm not telling them how. That's for them to figure out. How do they want to do it? And then do we have all the resources? Yeah, for the most part, it's going to be pretty much grabbing these models and making the PSA examples. I don't think anything on this list is going to be a deal breaker for me. So, reflecting on there, I think I'm going to be okay in terms of having resources for my students to be successful. Looking here, all of these things basically are going to be hitting on the foundational. The sentence strips definitely hit on the foundational. The Schoolhouse Rocks, which will give us the framework of the video, the framework of grammar and parts of speech and sentence structure. The college prompts. Everything here is pretty basic. So yeah, I think I have all the resources I need for my students to be successful. That's module 2. That's page 2. The focusing on the project, this PSA, these college essays, getting this perfect paragraph written. So. Other than that, now we're ready to move on to the benchmarking and scaffolding, which will be module 3.